Story time about how my blind date hid in my closet for 8 hours. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. So I'm in my late 20s and I've been looking for a boyfriend for years now. I started using dating apps, but none of that worked. Recently, my boyfriend started dating this really cool guy. He told me he had a really good friend and that he thought they should set me up. Of course, I had never met this guy before. I didn't know if he had social media. I didn't know anything about him. My sister and her boyfriend set up the whole thing. Oh yeah, and my sister told me that he was a doctor, he owned a boat, and loved golfing. So I got ready for the date and I showed up to the restaurant. Right away, he comes over and says hi to me. He knew that I would be wearing a pink shirt. We sat down to eat and we basically stayed at the restaurant for 3 hours just talking and having fun. We talked about a bunch of stuff and towards the end of the date, he gave me a kiss and asked me out again. I said yes. We said goodbye and I went home. Then I decided to go get ice cream and I went back home. I watched some TV, went to sleep. The next morning, I'm getting ready. I open my closet door and he jumps out.
My husband and I have 2.5 kids. My oldest is 10 years old, my middle child is 5, and I'm currently 5 months pregnant. My 10-year-old is from a previous relationship, and my 5-year-old is adopted. My sister got pregnant unexpectedly, saw adoption as her only choice, and didn't want the baby to go to strangers, so I stepped up. We did everything right. My sister went to therapy to consult on her choice, and I went with her to make sure she was sure, and we did everything that was recommended for adoptive mothers/birth mothers along the way. It wasn't an immediate adoption. I got guardianship, and we built to an adoption, and my sister was involved in the entire process, and again, never expressed any issues in the time it took to finalize. Just over a month ago, I announced my pregnancy. My 5-year-old knows about the biological relationship between her and my sister. Shortly after telling people about the pregnancy, my sister and I arranged to meet up in person in the park. She then told my 5-year-old to give mommy a hug, and my 5-year-old immediately grabbed me and my sister got shitty about it. I asked her what she was trying to do, and she said that I had a baby on the way and assumed that I was done with the 5-year-old and was going to have a new favorite. I said I don't play favorites and don't know what game she's playing.
Part 3 on the McDonald's conspiracy. So what exactly is a conspiracy? It's a secret plan made by a group to do something harmful or unlawful. And it didn't take long for this next Monopoly game to have a new winner. His name was Michael Hoover. The FBI decided to make a fake production company to act like they were doing a big commercial for him winning when they were actually secretly interrogating him. So they were asking him questions. He went into detail on how he found the chip, how he was gonna buy a boat, and name it Ruthless Scandal. And then the FBI, being one step ahead, had already tapped him. So when he left, they heard his phone call, in which he basically laughed and said that he pulled it off, that they actually think he's gonna buy a boat called Ruthless Scandal. But they hear the name Uncle Jerry talked about again. So they had to do a deeper dive into who was working for them. And well, the company they partnered with, Simon Marketing, there was a guy who was head of security named Jerome Jacobson. He oversaw the whole process. Not only did he head all of security, but he also designed it as well. On top of this, he was responsible for taking the chip to the McDonald's location. But if the process was so thorough, how was he pulling it off?
Wow, this is easy. I got you. So I had a customer. Notice I said customer, not client, because she can never come to me again after this. But anyways, I had a customer that came to her appointment with her 4-year-old son. My policy's no kids, but he was pretty calm, so I was like, whatever, I'll still do your nails. So while I'm prepping her nails, she's basically being very fidgety. She's looking at her phone like every 2 seconds. And then once I'm done prepping her nails, she stops me and she's like, can I go downstairs and get my wallet? I left it in my car and I'd rather get it now than wait till you're done with my nails. I was like, okay, that's fine. So when she goes to her car, she leaves her son with me. So I would say about literally 25 minutes past, I'm up there with her son and she's still not back. So I go outside, she's gone. I try to call her.
My sister and I have always been mistaken as twins. I'm 19 and she's 16, but we have the same height, skin tone, and similar voice. She also has a habit of being a copycat, from the way I dress to hobbies, even piercings. I know it's cute if you look at it from the outside, but sometimes it gets annoying. Like, yeah, we are quite close too, but why does she always happen to pick up everything I pick up? One afternoon, I was tidying up some costumes in my college showroom and found a rather cute brown and pink wig. It looks like a mushroom. I put it on, think it looks rather funny, so I snapped a picture and posted it to my Instagram. I received a text from my sister asking if I really cut my hair. I didn't mention it was a wig. While I somewhat have a feeling that she might copy that too, I lied and replied yes. I came home that weekend and lo and behold, my sister emerged with the same silly brown and pink bob cut, except this one is on her permanent hair. She was surprised that I arrived with my hair still long, then realized that I lied to her. She was furious that she had to cut that silly hairstyle because she thought I had it. Our parents think that it's a really bad joke and wanted me to cut my hair too to make it up to her. So am I the asshole for telling my sister I cut my hair when I really didn't?
Part 3. So my lying, cheating ex calls me and explains to me why he actually slept with my cousin. He said that he was so lonely and that he didn't know what to do, and that the closest thing to me he could find was my cousin. Right, as if that was any comfort to me. He said I should be grateful that I didn't cheat with someone else. I told him he had totally betrayed my trust and that I could never ever trust him again. And then he confessed that she was pregnant and that his parents wanted them to get married. He said he just wanted to give me a heads up. Then he said that we could still be together but just not tell anyone, so basically he wanted me to be his side piece. I couldn't believe the words that was coming out of his mouth. It was like I didn't know this man. Guess what I did? I recorded the entire conversation. So I went straight to my cousin and I let her listen to it. She was so shocked. She couldn't believe that he would offer to have me as a side chick. Well, I also let my uncle listen to it. He went to my ex's house and beat him up. Honestly, that made me sad, but he deserved it. They now have a baby and he's gained 50 pounds. Trust your instincts, girl, and always record your conversations. Also, how cute are my nails?
Do you know the story behind your zodiac sign? In this series, I'm going to draw each zodiac sign and tell you their backstory. First, we have the story of Gemini, which focuses on immortality and the strong bond between siblings. So we all know that the sign of Gemini is made up of two twins, but these two twins actually have a name and a pretty interesting backstory. Their names were Castor and Pollux, who both had the same mortal mother named Leda, but they had different fathers, making one of them immortal and the other one not. Castor's father was the king of Sparta, and Pollux's father was Zeus, making Pollux immortal. Castor and Pollux had a really strong bond together, but Castor was unfortunately injured and passed away in battle. Pollux was inconsolable after Castor's passing and didn't want to ever be without his brother, so he decided to go to Zeus for help. Zeus decided that rather than taking away Pollux's immortality, he would just make Castor immortal too, and allow them both to be transformed into the constellation of Gemini so they can live together forever. This story, out of all of the other zodiac sign stories, does have kind of a happy ending. Which zodiac sign should I talk about next? Follow to see the rest.
Am I wrong for wanting to have my wedding even though my sister lost her baby? A week before my wedding, my sister found out she miscarried at 5 months. Obviously, I was very upset for her as losing a baby can be very tough, especially because it was her first baby. But I didn't want it to end up being more important than my wedding. 3 days before my wedding, my sister announces at a family gathering that she wants my wedding to be canceled and changed to a funeral for her baby. I was so upset that she would even ask this. I had been waiting months for my wedding and her miscarriage happened so soon. She burst into tears in front of our family, saying I could wait a few months for my wedding, but she couldn't delay her baby's funeral. I got so mad I stormed off. My whole family took her side, telling me to cancel my wedding, even though I had arranged and bought everything. Even my dress and venue was ready, so I couldn't just cancel. I ended up cutting off all of my family and only a few remained to attend my wedding. My sister hasn't spoken to me in years and neither has my family. In my opinion, if my sister loses a baby like a week before my wedding, that's just me. My cousin Millie is 30 years old and is an ER nurse. Her birthday was a few days ago and we planned a birthday prank, which was leaving a fake snake on her cake. All fun and games because we do this every year to every family member. Well, apparently this year Millie didn't want it, so she was pretty pissed at the fact that we didn't. Now, a few days ago while I was in school, I got a call from Millie during lunch. I thought it would be her saying she's picking me up, but it wasn't. She proceeded to tell me that my mother had passed away in a car accident. My heart dropped and I felt like puking. My mother and I don't have the best relationship, but I still love her. Millie began to tell me the details of the death and what exactly happened to the point I hung up on her and called my mother. My mom, who was supposedly at work as a nurse, didn't pick up and I ended up running to the bathroom. I called my dad, bawling my eyes out and telling him what happened. He didn't understand what I was talking about because he called my mom right before I called. He made me explain everything and understandably he was pissed. He picked me up from school and called my mom in the car just to prove that she was alive and okay. That night, my aunt, who's not Millie's mom, called a meeting to her house and we all talked it out. They were all pretty much disgusted with Millie as she tried to justify her choices, but she ended up apologizing.
Here's something fun. When you're in a long-term relationship, you'll often find yourself doing this thing with your partner where you'll say, when we have kids, I hope they have this trait of yours. And today my husband was like, I hope our kids will be as resilient and determined as you. When I was 11 years old, I got in a fight with my mum when she was picking me up from school, and I was being so rude that she wanted to teach me a lesson and scare me a little bit, so she said, you can find your own way home. Left me outside of my classroom, got in her car and drove off. Now, realistically, she was just doing the block and was going to come back and pick me up, hoping that I would be apologetic. But I wasn't. I was very stubborn and was like, I can find my own way home. And I decided to run home. I, in fact, sprinted from the school grounds and ran into a close family friend who offered to give me a lift, which I accepted and I got home by my own means. Now, my mum did do the block and not only came back to me not being where she left me, but to one of my friends saying, yeah, I saw her get in the car with some weird guy. Imagining my mum's soul leaving her body that day is enough for me to not ever want kids, let alone kids like me.
I found out my husband was sleeping with my sister part 2. I made multiple profiles on all of these dating apps, and these profiles were from women that are very, very close to me, my best friends and my sisters. Because listen, it's always someone close to you. At least that's why I like to think. Setting up all those accounts took too long, but it was definitely worth it. I only found him on one dating app, and that was on Bumble, and he matched with my sister. I decided to start the conversation with, "Hey Ben, that's so awkward, we matched." It took him about 2 days to answer me back because he was off on those 2 days. Apparently he deletes the app on his days off, and then when he gets back to work, he installs them again. His first message to my sister was, "Hey, I miss you so much, I can't believe we stopped talking." I decided to go with it and I said, "Just talking?" He said, "Of course not. You know what I mean. I miss your body. I miss everything about you." Long story short, I waited for him to get home from work. I showed him the messages. I decided to get a divorce, and I also got everything. Do you guys want to know what she did to her sister? Follow me and comment.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life. I'll go first. 2 years ago, I was walking my dog at the park, and a man approached me and asked to take a picture of her. And I said yes, because why not? It's a picture of a dog. So he starts taking a picture of my dog, and then I realized that he was like holding up her collar, and then it hit me. My address is on that collar. He's not taking a picture of my dog, he's taking a picture of my address. So I told him that I actually didn't feel comfortable with him having a picture of my dog, and I asked him to delete it. So he deletes it and then like starts walking